All right. So last Thursday night, it was reported that Netflix is in final negotiations to purchase Warner Brothers for $82 billion. And at the time, and in these last 5 or 6 days, there's been a lot of doom and gloom from a lot of people, myself included, about what this could mean for the future of movie theaters and also just the industry, the movie industry as a whole. Now, over these last 5 or 6 days, on my own, I've decided that I think that this might actually not be so bad for movie theaters, not Netflix buying them, but this whole situation in general. I think that we might actually have a way out of this. Now, that's just for movie theaters. I think that at the end of the day, Warner Brothers is bound to be owned by a very evil company. We'll get into that over the next however long we go here, but I think for movie theaters, there's definitely a way through here, and I actually have a pretty positive mindset about this whole sale, at least from my perspective. I think that it's a billions must smile situation. I think that everything is good as far as I'm concerned, or everything could be good. Um, so I guess not a lot has happened, but the one major thing that has happened in since Netflix, since that news came out, I'm clicking my pen a lot. I don't know if that's picking up. I'm sorry, I'll stop. But is that Paramount has announced that they're going to go for a hostile bid or a hostile takeover of Warner Brothers. And what that means, folks, I'm going to take a peek behind the curtain as a financial expert, is that they're going to go directly to the shareholders and offer and try to purchase the company at a way overvalued worth, I guess. Whatever, again, financial expert. But they're going to go directly to the shareholders, offer way more than Netflix, and try to buy the company that way, not do it cordially and negotiate with the Warner Brothers top brass. I believe that the offer that they're doing $30 a share, which I believe comes out to like $106 billion is what it was, or 102. I don't know. It's like they're offering like $20 billion more than Netflix at the end of the day is what's happening. So that's just a quick summary. But let's take a real peek behind the curtain. Last night, I think, or yesterday, a Wall Street Journal article came out, folks. You're not getting that at a lot of places, but you're getting it here. A Wall Street Journal article came out. It basically breaks down Paramount. It's called Behind Paramount's. It's titled Behind Paramount's Relentless Campaign to Woo Warner Discovery and President Trump, and it does just that. It's an entire breakdown of the Ellison family who owns Paramount. Their almost sad surge to buy Warner Brothers. There's going to be a lot of reading here, folks, so stick with me. And I have no excuses. I printed this out, so if I stumble, it's just because I can't read. Paramount Chief Executive David Ellison knew his latest bid for Warner Bros. Discovery was in trouble when the company's CEO David Zaslav started ghosting him. What a sad start, buddy. David Ellison is the son of Larry Ellison. Just a quick summary. Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, worth $180 billion. His son, Larry Ellison, I don't know if I said David, Larry Ellison, founder of Oracle. His son, David Ellison, the founder, I believe, of Skydance, a smaller movie studio that bought Paramount earlier this year for $8 billion. So he's like just a complete like a favorite son. He's like he's daddy's money as it gets and trying to play with the big dogs here. And as we'll see, it's not exactly working out for him. Paramount had spent the morning of December 4th, last Thursday, finalizing its sixth bid to acquire all of Warner, an all-cash $77.9 billion offer. But Paramount was worried that Warner had already settled on their preferred dance partner, Netflix. And now here is it. I think that David Zaslav, the Warner Brothers CEO, just literally screenshotted this and sent it to whoever wrote this. There's like three people listed. But Ellison wrote to Zaslav, just tried calling you about new bid we have submitted. I heard you on all your concerns and believe we have addressed them in our new proposal. Please give me a call back when you can to discuss in detail. He didn't hear back. Sensing trouble, Ellison followed up, saying Paramount had offered a package that covered all the issues Warner had raised, including the need for strong cash value and speed to close. Ooh, now this is even worse. This is like literally, if I was David Ellison, I think I would just be tasting shotgun shells right now. It would be the honor of a lifetime to be your partner and to be the owner of these iconic assets. He texted according to a regulatory filing. Yeah. I mean, just the saddest thing in the world. On Friday, Ellison's concerns were realized. Warner and Netflix announced a deal for the streaming giant to acquire the iconic Warner for $72 billion. I thought it was 82. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm gonna challenge them here, but I think it was anyway. Where was I? Ellison's father, billionaire Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, a Trump ally, called the president after the Netflix deal was announced and told him the transaction would hurt competition, according to a White House official and a person familiar with the matter. I wish I didn't read that part. I've tried to highlight only the parts I wanted to read. During a visit to Washington in recent days, David Ellison offered assurances to Trump administration that if he bought Warner, he'd make sweeping changes to CNN, a common target of President Trump's ire. People familiar with the matter said, whatever. Trump has told people close to him that he wants new ownership of CNN as well as changes to CNN program. I mean, that is pretty much not good, folks, if you can't figure that one out. That's just not good. There's no other way to say it. I mean, they're clearly just trying to kiss as much ass as possible, which is the game. I mean, the game is the game, and they're playing the game. I can't so much blame my guy Larry for calling Trump and like after the deal went through and fighting for what he believes in here or what he wants, and saying what is sort of true, that this, what did he say exactly? That this would hurt competition. That's all it says. But that this would be bad for Paramount, because from his perspective, as far as the streaming goes, this is like a streaming monopoly. And as far as, it's not really something he's concerned about. But I guess the whole theatrical part, I feel like I'm screaming into the void when it comes to these guys. But anyway, we're going to get back to it later. Some people do care about theatrical and do fight for it and do mention it. Then the second part, David Ellison, when he visits Trump and promises to make changes to CNN the way he wants. It's not like CNN is this something that matters so much to me, really at all. The only night I watch it maybe once every 4 years for a half hour total on election night for the coverage. But because I like the maps, the guy's flying around. But anyway, I always lose my goddamn train of thought. Yeah, that's not good. A guy trying to basically get this deal. He's trying to offer to make sweeping changes to a major news network that opposes the president, to get this deal through. I mean, I don't know how easily I have to spell it out for you, how much I have to slow it down for you. I think very highly of my viewers, and I think you know what I'm saying here, and I think that you know this is not good. Moving on. Not ready to give up Paramount not ready to give up. Paramount on Monday launched a hostile takeover effort for Warner, taking its case directly to shareholders, as I said earlier. Ellison says his offer for Warner is a better deal for shareholders and more likely to pass regulatory muster. Paramount said its offer provides shareholders $18 billion more in cash than Netflix. And I mean, yeah. I think we already went over that, folks. Now here's where it gets not so much interesting, but downright evil, I guess. Three Middle Eastern wealth funds and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, are among the financial backers of Paramount's bid. Affinity is Jared Kushner's company. This is where we're switching over to my handwriting, folks. Jared Kushner is married to Trump's, in his own words, beautiful daughter, the one that he would marry if he weren't married. Well, if he weren't married, he would be interested in this one. His words, not mine. So Affinity was started in 2021 by Jared Kushner. Now, Jared Kushner had nothing going on in 2021 because he was his father-in-law's campaign manager during the 2016 election, and then an advisor through his first term. His first term, and obviously Trump did not gain re-election, and that is largely in part because of some would say his handling of the pandemic, and Jared Kushner was a key advisor throughout that process, saying, I mean, it's nothing to goddamn worry about, Pops. Anyway, moving on. So this company was started by Kushner to broker deals between two of maybe the best people out there, the Saudis and the Israelis. Backed by the Kingdom after he supported the Saudis while advising Trump. And the House actually investigated him for that. Again, I think this is from 2022. It was from the New York Times. Again, folks, well, you're not getting this at a lot of places, but you're getting it here. Kushner developed a close relationship with Prince Mohammed, even as he faced criticism for his human rights record. Is there any prince of Saudi Arabia that doesn't face criticism for his human rights record? I guess if he's facing criticism for his human rights record in Saudi Arabia, maybe he's just a good guy. Anyway, moving on. Later, when the $2 billion investment in Kushner's firm encountered skepticism from the public, I wrote PIF, the Public Investment Fund. That's it's literally just the Saudi government's public investment fund. It's worth $900 billion. When people are like, geez, where do the Saudis get all this money? It comes out of a big bucket of money, this big pit of money. This is called the Public Investment Fund, I believe, the Public Investment Fund. I'll go back. Later, when the $2 billion investment in Kushner's firm, again, the Saudi government invested $2 billion to start Affinity. When the $2 billion investment in Kushner's firm encountered skepticism from the public investment firm officials, a board led by his buddy Mo voted to approve it. So, I mean, I don't believe anything came of this investigation because it was from a board in the House of Representatives, and I mean, it was not exactly murderer's row for the people that were involved in this, people that were doing the work here. But how much does this stink? How shady is this? Just, I mean, all the way. It's not like his plan all along was I'll schmooze my father-in-law about to try to get him to love the Saudis so that after I ruin his first term, I can just get as much money as possible from these guys and start brokering deals between them and people with not even more money, but people that are even worse. I don't think that was his master plan. I think that's giving him a little too much credit, but I mean, it does stink. And it is very, very shady. We'll move on. Warner's board said it planned to stay the course with Netflix. That is not true. I got another piece from Variety here, folks. Warner Brothers Discovery responding to Paramount Skydance's unsolicited takeover offer to acquire all WBD's outstanding stock for $30 a share, said it will review the proposal and issue its decision within 10 business days. Oh, that's weird because it says here that it planned to stay the course with Netflix. So, I mean, that's not true. I kind of had to make a big show of it because I got excited when I caught that. The fight for Warner has become a battle between Paramount, the 113-year-old Hollywood institution, and Netflix, the technology startup turned entertainment juggernaut. I highlighted that part because, I mean, that just lays it all out. If you want to make it as simple as that, and that pretty much has been the way I've been thinking about it, is we got Paramount and we got Netflix. We got the movie studio and we got the streaming website. Obviously, you want the movie studio to buy the movie studio. If someone's got to buy it, if it's one of these two, you don't want it to be the website, you want it to be the studio, right? That's pretty simple. So, I mean, that's just the way that I've been thinking about it these last 5 days. I've been hoping for Paramount, as evil as they are, and we just went over that, as bad as they are, you just got to root for theaters, folks. That's where I'm coming from. That's what I care about. That's all I care. I care about that more than how bloody the money is coming in, which is definitely wrong. That's definitely morally wrong. But you're not coming here for morals, folks. You're coming here for the hard-hitting facts and truth. Trump has so far avoided backing a bidder. None of them are particularly great friends of mine, he said at a White House roundtable on Monday. A person close to Trump said the president will want Paramount and Netflix to compete for his approval of a deal. So, that first part is sort of a lie. Now, I'd say sort of, but I think it's definitely a lie because I believe that him and Larry Ellison, are pretty tight. I mean, it's not like they're swinging clubs, touching kids together on weekends, but like Trump and all of his other buddies. But, I mean, Ellison's a major backer of him, I believe. Maybe this is just things that I've seen reply guys on the internet and saying. that he's a big supporter and they're good buddies, but I'm pretty sure that there's a relationship there. And I think the second part is what makes that first part interesting. A person close to Trump said the president will want Paramount and Netflix to compete for his approval of a deal. So I think that part that we hit earlier with Dave Ellison, the loser's son, promising to change CNN however he wanted. I think that part definitely matters, and that is kind of a good start as far as Trump's concerned. I think he wants these people to schmooze him as much as possible. He wants to be schmoozed. That's not news for the guy. He's a businessman. He wants to be schmoozed. Keeping it rolling. Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice will oversee the merger. It's just nice to know that we're going to have our top people on. That's why I highlighted that part. Ellison, who recently merged his Skydance production company with Paramount. I think I already hit on that earlier. Paramount genuinely needs an acquisition to compete with Netflix, Disney, and Amazon. And that is definitely true, and that is something that what I said earlier, the fact that you want them to own this movie studio. You don't want this studio to go to a streamer and have... I just saw a shadow, and that scared me. You don't want this 115-year-old studio, just like a backbone of Hollywood, to go to one of these streamers, because you look at these major studios, it's Netflix, Disney, and Amazon. These are not, I mean, Disney definitely, but the other two are not studios that have their eyes on the theaters. And Disney, I mean, how much faith do you have in them in general? None at all. So Paramount getting their hands on Warner Brothers is something that going along, even I think at this point up to 40 minutes ago, not to tip my cards where we're going to go later on in this video, but it's something that I would have supported and did support. I need a haircut so bad. Not to take a break here and do this. Like, I think I've done this every single time at this point, but I think if I don't get a haircut by the weekend, I think I'm going to call for like a mass unsubscribing and just like reporting the channel. I think I might just have to stop because it's getting ridiculous. Paramount's board met in September to discuss a bid for Warner. So, all right, I should have said the first part. Ellison initially took a friendlier approach. Did I miss something here? No, I didn't. So this part is where they go through Paramount's 6 bids to buy Warner Brothers before they sold to Netflix. At that board meeting, they ended up reaching a $19 per share cash and stock bid for the company. So that is not all cash, and that is $19 per share. So about 2/3 what they are going to offer at this point. We followed that up with a formal... this part is not important. In late September, this is the second one. In late September, Ellison sent his second offer letter to the Warner board, upping his price to $22 per share and boosting the cash mix from 60% to 67%. Also offered Zaslav a role as co-CEO and co-chairman of the combined company. Remember, it is his dream to serve alongside him, to cast swords along David Zaslav. Anybody's dream. Everyone grows up dreaming of sitting alongside David Zaslav. Paramount made its third attempt on October 13th, offering $23.50 per share. Again, upping the amount of cash to 80%. So kind of a lame duck offer as far as the value goes in the shares, but the cash offer is up. And that is what ended up mattering. We'll hit on that later. I'll hit on that now, actually. At one point, the company asked investment bank Allen & Co., not to be confused with Dead & Co., I believe it might be a cover band as well, which was working with Warner, what factors would be considered. Cash is king, an Allen & Co. representative said. So the cash getting up is what matters. After the 3 rebuffed Paramount offers, Zaslav essentially put his company up for sale. So this is in mid-October. I said when I did this last video, that I thought that this sale was going on for like 6 months, even a year. But no, it's going on for like, I guess 4 weeks. Yeah, a month. So just swing and a miss by here. You gotta wear your mistakes. You gotta call them out. If I'm gonna call them out here, I gotta call them out here. The fourth offer came in November 20th, with Paramount offering $25.50 per share for the whole company. This came after when Zaslav put the company up for sale. His intentions were to split it and offer and try to sell the networks, which is like the TNT, TBS, the Turner Studios, and CNN, I believe. I'm kind of guessing what all this, I think that's all the studios. And anything else they own, and then have the networks and movie studios on the other side. Nobody was interested in the TV networks. Everyone was interested in the, oh, I lied. I totally mixed it up. Everyone was interested in the HBO Max movie studios, not so much the TNT, CNN side of it, obviously. So during this round of bidding, Paramount was the only one that offered for the whole company, while Comcast and Netflix pursued just its studios and HBO Max streaming business. Soon after, the Ellisons had dinner with Zaslav again, to again make... whatever. Soon after, the Ellisons had dinner with Zaslav to again make their case for a deal and offer him a leadership role. They raised their offer in their next round of bids, upping it to an all-cash bid of $26.50. So they just keep going up, and they've made it all cash. And again, they're about to find out all cash is what matters. On the eve of what would be their last offer is when they found that out. So now we get to Thursday, December 4th, the morning of, in fact. And Paramount submits its $30 per share offer on Thursday morning. So that's not what they're trying to do now. I said that that's what their offer is right now for the shareholders. Maybe it is. Anyway, moving on. This is what it says here. I'm reading off the Wall Street Journal, folks. I think they might know more than I do. Paramount submitted its $30 per share offer on Thursday morning, the 4th. And that's all I needed. And then by 4:30 that afternoon, Ellison and his team hadn't heard from Warner. Around 11 p.m., news broke that Warner had entered into an exclusivity agreement with Netflix. And, I mean, David Ellison must have just been looking over, I mean, I don't even know, just an empty house, looking at the view, and just, he must have been this close to just ending it all. This whole thing just paints that as one of the saddest pictures I've ever seen. He probably was found in a swimming pool. Anyway. Where did I want to go from here? Okay. So it just seems like my takeaway was it seems like Zaslav just really did not want to do business with the Ellisons for whatever reason that was. The entire time the Ellisons seemed like they wanted to play ball. They kept upping the offer. They ended up making it all cash. They slowly but surely got it to where it seemed like Warner Brothers wanted. But they just went with Netflix. They put it up for sale, and within 5 weeks, I'll say, they accepted the Netflix offer after negotiating for 2-3 months with Paramount privately. And I think that just shows that they didn't like, or Warner Brothers or Zaslav at least did not like Ellison, whatever reason that may be. Whether it be political, I looked it up, and Zaslav is actually, I don't know if he's donated to Democrats before. He's donated $240,000 in 2020. I don't know to who exactly, but I saw two Democratic candidate. Not that that's something I care about, but I think in this scenario, maybe that he just doesn't like what the Ellisons are doing. He just knows that he didn't like the way they handled the whole merger or the whole purchase of Paramount and CBS in April and the way they went about that with the government. And he just doesn't like, I think he just doesn't like the Ellisons is my takeaway of that whole situation, my reading. Again, you're coming here from my takeaway. That is my takeaway. So the other side of the coin here is Netflix. Netflix is, from Netflix's perspective, they're Joe Cool over there. Everything is gold. They're still like this. There's 10 business days where they're going to look over both offers. But I think Netflix is still feeling pretty good. And everything I read here is going to be my handwriting. So when I stumble, I do have an excuse. On a Wall Street call on Monday, it just said Wall Street call, which, sure, whatever. On Deadline said that. We're all over the place, folks. I'm doing it all. It's Ted Sarandis, the Netflix CEO, who has, whatever, we'll move on. In this transaction, we pick up businesses we aren't currently in. One of them is a theatrical distribution machine. I think I'm just going to read them all. We're deeply committed to release, rather than doing lame facial. I'll do lame facial expressions after each of them. We're deeply committed to releasing those movies exactly the way they would release today. That's me thinking. That's not like any sort of Rizzler face. That's a thought face. The theatrical business we talked a lot about in the past. I'm trying to like raise an eyebrow there. That's a separate, like it's an eyebrow. That's like a rock thing. Again, this is no way affiliated with the Rizzler. We talked theatrical business. We talked about a lot in the past about wanting to do because we've never been in that business. I wrote this in all caps, which makes it tough to read. When this deal closes, we are in that business and we are going to do this. If we did this 2 years ago, this is I paraphrased. If they did this 2 years ago, all the movies from this year would have released the exact same. And this last one I wrote, it's really important the way they drive value. We didn't buy that. We didn't buy them to destroy that value. So everything he says there is pretty much directly contradictory to what he said in April with, I don't have the notes here, what he wrote it, who he said it to. I think it might have been Deadline, might have been Variety, who knows, I'm making stuff up. But there was that interview that I was looking at the last time where he was basically saying, he was like, the theatrical window is just unrealistic and doesn't matter. He completely downplayed it entirely. And this is 6 months before he knew that Warner Brothers would be up for sale entirely, even though I think there was whispers at that point. I'm trying to give myself some leeway, but I think there was some whispers. There's been whispers for a while. But when he wasn't in the process of purchasing a major theatrical company, he basically said movie theaters aren't worth shit and that it's just unrealistic. But now that he's buying them, some might say he's just trying to say the right thing. One of the few actual somewhat thoughtful things said on the Daily by one of those boring, the mope of a financial advisor, I think, was that he's just going to try to say all the right things here. And he is. That is true. He's going to try to get this deal passed through so that he can then do what he really wants. But I think everything he says there, I mean, they did buy at that theatrical distribution machine. I mean, I can't say that everything they said is true, but if everything is true, they'll just keep making money. One thought I had is that if they release all these movies, there's going to be a phase where once they buy these, once this sale does go through, say Netflix does own Warner Brothers in a year and a half, 2 years, there's still going to be movies, there's still going to be directors, and there's still going to be contracts where these movies have to be released theatrically, and they have to be released for 90 days or whatever it is, or 60 days. So when Netflix does see the returns they get for these movies, for these Warner Brothers movies, I feel like there's a chance that they see these numbers and it's like, whoa, wait, what? We're making how much money off of like Weapons, which would be a phenomenon still on Netflix. I don't have any box office numbers in front of me here, but like if you put a movie like Weapons on Netflix, it's the talk of the town for a week and leading up to, or it's the talk of the town for a month leading up to it. And then for 4 days after it comes out, but it doesn't actually provide you money. When you put that movie out in theaters, it makes you hundreds of millions of dollars. When you put the movies out in the theaters, you're seeing money coming back. That's not something that Netflix has ever been able to actually, that's not something that Netflix has ever seen. It's never actually been on their portfolio before. I'm kind of digging into it here. But that's not something that Ted Sarandos has ever lived in a world where he can have a movie like, I guess K-pop Demon Hunters is the one that happened, but that was like a one-off thing, and that was this past summer, so maybe it has changed for him since April. But if you put a movie like his most recent one, Jay Kelly, out in theaters, and it was wide, and it got the big 3,000 theaters, and it cost however much it cost to put out. I guess I never really consider how much movies cost to release. But if Jay Kelly releases in theaters, you're seeing like $50-60 million coming back. You're seeing money coming back to you. You're getting cash back. Rather than when it just comes out on Netflix and maybe you get some Oscars for it. And when you make like a dozen, say with all the, like a dozen, the 10 Oscar movies that they're hopeful, the 10 movies that they have on their radar that they hope are maybe Oscar contenders. Again, it's late, so I'm all over the place. But there are 10 Oscar hopefuls on their calendar. They're not seeing any money for those, but they're seeing maybe awards. If they release all those into theaters, they're seeing, I mean, I've said this, I don't know how many different ways I have to spell it out for you, but they're seeing money coming back, folks. And I think that if Netflix is seeing all of these Warner Brothers movies making money, there's a chance that, I don't know what big Netflix movies are even coming out, but when they have these big Netflix movies coming out, like at least the next K-pop Demon Hunters, which I think they will put in theaters, but when they have these big like original movies, again, I really can't think of any big Netflix movies. I guess Frankenstein, but like these movies, they could put these movies out in wide releases. So I think it's incredibly wishful thinking, and it may be incredibly unrealistic. But I think that there's a world where this opens up the door for Netflix to enter even more so into the theatrical industry. Not just to keep Warner Brothers the way that it is and to operate that the same, which would be, I guess, I would sign up for that right now. That isn't best case scenario, but that would be perfect if that just happened. But I think there's even a chance that, well, there's a chance that they're lying. And there's a chance that this bad guy is just continuing to be a bad guy. I think there's also a chance that it just means that Netflix is a bigger theatrical player. I mean, it's a chance that all these movies that they make, not all of them, but at least like maybe 10 to 15 movies a year, even 5 to 15 movies a year, all the movies that are worthy of theatrical releases, I think we could start seeing those movies get wide theatrical releases and not just the ones that are Oscar players getting 15 theaters for 5 days. Yeah, I think that kind of lays it all out. That's kind of everything that's happened. And so like I was saying, over these last 5 days, I was pretty much hoping that Paramount would pull this one out. I was pretty much hoping that my president, Donald Trump, would just block Netflix and kind of just make some sort of shady deal happen here between Paramount and Warner Brothers and get his way with CNN, and kind of everything would come up Trump the way that it kind of always does. But that would end up meaning, hey, the movie theaters ended up getting a little win there too. That is what I was hoping for. But when you lay out all the pros and cons, I got a little pros and cons list here. When you lay it all out, when you look at the cons for Netflix, all I could muster was the first one. I mean, it's freaking Netflix, man. That's just, what more do you gotta say? The second one, Sarandis could be lying. All of his quotes from April could be the ones that ring more true. It could be like those could be the truth serum quotes, and the ones that whatever, that could be what's true. Anyway, this could if that is true, this could and probably will seriously damage theatrical releases or movie theaters. If they do these movies in like 3-week windows, which is what I was really afraid of, which is what my biggest fear was with Netflix. If they put these major Warner Brothers releases on these smaller theatrical windows, it would just be a complete disaster for movie theaters. It won't kill them, and I am not 100. I mean, it could happen. It definitely could happen, which would just be a complete disaster. And this last one, I mean, DVDs, I didn't really even think about it until right before, but Netflix got their bones with DVDs, sort of. But I think that would be the end of Warner Brothers movies coming out on DVD, and maybe for like 99% of them at least. Every movie doesn't get DVD releases nowadays from even these studios, but Netflix isn't going to make a One Battle After Another DVD. They want you to go to Netflix and watch One Battle After Another on Netflix. That's going to be their logic. They're not going to make a Sinners DVD. They want you to watch it on Netflix. And that would just be such a bummer. It's a bummer for 1%, I think, might be too low. Maybe 2% of the movie-going population. But like all these movies not coming out on DVD, but it really is. I'm part of that 2%, and that is a huge bummer to me. That's something to consider when I'm casting my vote. When David Zaslav does come to me and ask, "Hey Zach, where do you slide here? What are you thinking?" where do you lean? That is something that I will consider. And then the goods for Netflix, the pros for Netflix, was what I had just said, is maybe they keep Warner Brothers as is and just make that money. That's the bare minimum. They just keep Warner Brothers operating as a theatrical machine. They keep the machine going, and that is it. And that would be really good, and I think that that is what they're claiming that is going to happen. So if they do what they said they're going to do today, then that's good. That's obviously good. And then the best case scenario is what I laid out before that, is that Netflix starts like slowly entering the theatrical game even more. For Paramount, I don't think I said this yet, but basically the number one pro, and all you really need with Paramount, is that they pledge to release 30 movies a year in theaters if their deal goes through. That's crazy. That is more than Paramount and Warner Brothers combined. One of them was 11, one of them was 12. For the folks at home, that is 23 total movies between the two. And I mean a major part of why a conglomeration of these two studios, I don't know if I use that right, is so bad, is because on the surface, at least for a guy like me, is there's less movies coming out. But I think the fact that they're making a pledge like this, I mean, that argument is kind of out the window. Needs more of a wider throw to go out the window. And it's not even open. But yeah, so if they're releasing 30 movies a year, I mean, that's pretty damn good for me, right? That's music to my ears. And then for the cons for Paramount, it was tough to find. But I wrote Israel, Saudis, monopoly, CNN. The leadership will likely interfere with the kinds of movies they make, sets an ugly precedent, and it makes the current regime, more powerful, and it's just playing into the president's hand. Now, none of that is good. Again, 30 movies is something. 30 movies in theaters. Even saying that, I almost think that is the better solution here. But I think that the cons, I mean, it would just be ugly, I think is the best way to put it. It would just be not good news if Paramount does pull this one out. If the deal is blocked, it's not all of a sudden the worst thing in the world. And I think it might just be, I may just be being too cautious or too afraid or too woke, some might say. But I think that the Ellisons owning a company like Warner Brothers, a major studio, thinking of it not like Paramount, but a family like the Ellisons, and accomplishing it by promising to alter a major news network to spinning it 180 degrees to play into the president's hands. Like even if you spin the parties, like that's bad. Like that's obviously incredibly bad. I don't want to, like, it's only, whatever, you hate to play what if it was the other guys, but I mean, you got, it's very obviously, this is bad, that's bad, folks. I think it might be not so good. But yeah, I think that the cons, and even if it does go through, even if they do make these 30 movies a year, not only is it so bad, like, business-wise, and like just that whole like creating that angle we just went with the CNN angle, I think that they would interfere with these movies too. I don't think it's reasonable to assume that like, oh, they'll just pause off and let movies like Sinners or One Battle After Another be made. I think I might have rolled my eyes when that exact point was made on my show, The Daily, on my favorite show, The Daily, when I was listening to it today. Like, they won't allow these types of movies to be made. But I mean, it's not like these movies are giants. These are movies that don't make tons of money, and that doesn't matter to a guy like me. These movies don't have to make money. These movies are important in their own way. You make money so you can make movies like this, but the Ellisons won't see it like that. They will want movies that in their eyes they're okay losing money with are not going to be movies like Sinners and One Battle After Another. It'll be more like that Zachary Levi movie that my dad was asking me about the other day that I'm hoping to God that he forgets about. So yeah, it's just really, it's not great either way. You know what? No, I'm gonna say no. Yeah, it's not good either way. I was gonna try to be positive as much as possible. Be positive. Great CBS show. I was gonna try to be positive as much as possible. But yeah, it's not good either way. Whatever happens here, it's not gonna be pretty, but there is a way through, and that way through, it's an unlikely alliance. No one could have seen it coming, even the two parties involved. But I think I do side with Netflix here in this war, I guess, in this fight. Unbelievable. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. That's kind of a poor way to wrap it up. But yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens over these next 10 business days. We'll be back to cover it when a decision is made. I don't think anything will happen before then when I would have to say anything, when I will need to say anything, when the people will be calling for it. But yeah, I think that it's best it's best for business. It just feels ugly to even say. It's best for business if Netflix buys Warner Brothers. But I don't even know if I believe that after saying that. Yeah. I don't know. Have a good night, folks.